For packet 7, there's going to be another video, A118, and that's going to be over formulating equations from word problems. So if you have a hard time with word problems and making equations from them, it's going to be a great video for you to watch. This video is just going to go over domain and range from word problems. So what domain and range from word problems, what we're looking for are what are the x values and what are the y values, and that's all it is. And so I've come up with 3 steps, or we have come up with 3 steps for you to use. Okay, first you always need to label which one's independent and dependent. That way you know what is your x and what is your y. Then we look at what our lowest and our highest values are for each of those, and that is our domain and range. So this example says the weight of books carried in a backpack depends on the number of books in the backpack. Susan's book weighs from 1 pound up to 3.5 pounds each, and she carries at most 4 books. Well, first, independent and dependent. They made the sentence for me. Weight of books depends on the number of books. So if this depends, that means it's dependent. So the weight would be dependent, and then the number of books would be independent, which is again your x and your y. So that's why I always know Dr. XY, because independent will be domain and dependent will be range. Now we want to find the lowest and highest quantities of both. So let's look at what is the lowest amount of books that I could have. She says at most 4 books. So the lowest amount of books would be 0. And the most amount of books would be 4. So I can carry 0 to 4 books. Now we need to see what my lowest and highest quantity would be for the dependent, the weight. This is where you start after plugging things in. If I had 0 books, okay, and I'm looking for the lowest weight of the book would be, well, 0 times any of these would be 0. So my weight would be 0. Now if I have the most books I could carry, which is 4, and I want to find the biggest quantity, I take the most amount of pounds each book could be, which would be 3.5 pounds. So I'm going to grab my calculator, and I'm going to grab 3.5 times 4, which gives me 14. So the most amount of weight in my backpack could be 14 pounds. And it could be anything in between there, because I could have had some 1-pound books, mixed in there, or maybe some 2-pound books in there. And so the lowest weight is 0, the highest weight is 14, and all the values in between could also be possibilities. So my domain is just fill those in. 0, we put x in the middle, and 4 on the other side. And we do use lines underneath our alligators because it does also mean it can be equivalent to 0 and 4. And then we use our 0 to 14, and we plug y in the middle. And again, add lines underneath our alligators because they can be equivalent to that. So when you work a word problem, because you're not going to have this format for you on the EOC, so the first thing you just want to do is recognize what is my x and what is my y, what is my input, what is my output, and we do that by labeling our independent and dependent. Once you know that, look for the lowest and highest values of each, and that's going to be your answer.